So there are, this is about two significant women in my life when I was a kid, growing up. Two ladies. The first lady is my mother, and the second lady is our dog lady. The first dog we ever had and the only dog we ever had. I'll give you a little bio on my mom. Very manipulative, naive, a dreamer, a controller, kind of endured by the rest of us, and that was called love. And you had to sort of like follow directions and do what she said because she meant well, is what she would always tell us. It's because I love you. You know, I've been in therapy. I've straightened all of this stuff out. So my dad was a New York City policeman, so he'd sit in the chair with a Chesterfield in the paper and not say too much. He was a Coast Guard lookout and a quiet cop. He usually said yes, no, or ask your mother. So that was the communication in the house. My mother would come in with a lamp, or she'd come in with clothes you didn't ask for. She'd come in with shoes that didn't fit. She'd come in with all these things and say, here it is. So it was just before Christmas. And she can't, you know, the house is dark. My dad's smoking and reading the paper. And we're just, I don't know what we're doing, playing on the floor. You know, we didn't have phones. We didn't have anything. We had an imagination. And she walks in and she says, hey, it's early Christmas time, and look what we have. It's an early Christmas gift. And she got a cardboard box. She puts it on the floor. It's got shredded newspaper in it, and this puppy jumps out. Oh, that's what you said. Oh. Now, we had no discussions in the whole family about a dog, what kind of a dog, or anything like that. Nothing about a dog. Suddenly, we have a dog. And my mother had seen Lady and the Tramp, the Walt Disney animated film, and loves it, and says, this is Lady. So not only do we have a dog, but it's been named already without a discussion on what should we name this puppy. So I don't know what passive aggressive is. I'll find out. But anyway, all of us decide quietly that we're gonna have a little quiet mutiny, which means no one's going to attempt to train this dog, teach her anything or whatever. We just leave it alone as it is. Who knows? Who knows? It's not like leash, sit, roll over, treat. So the dog is just a wild freaking animal. You know, it's just a wild animal. And I get the job, because I'm the oldest of the three kids, to walk Lady occasionally, which would mean put a choker on her and take her out. And you could literally get your shoulder dislocated. The morning of my first communion, I had my suit on, and the dog pulled me to the ground and tore the pants, and my mother yelled at me and not the dog. So, there was a time to kill her, and I didn't take the opportunity. But you could lift Lady off the ground. If you unhooked it, she would just run like the road runner. She'd go flying. You would just think the next sound you're going to hear is somebody screaming, oh, my God, and she's dead. But she'd come back. She'd pee on some car tires or something, and she'd be back in the house. Now, my mother also had this anthropomorphic quality. She loved to talk. She believed that animals in her had this little simpatico thing. She once put shelled peanuts on the ledge while she was hanging wash, talking to the squirrels in the backyard, told them she'd be right back, and went to get some clothes out of the dryer, and these squirrels were in the house now. My father almost shot them with his service revolver. Anyway. Part of her thrills was to every year watch the Westminster dog show, kennel thing, from Madison Square Garden. It's still going on. It's been going on for thousands of years. It's a big deal. It's a big deal. And my mother watches that thing, and she just stops everything to watch this thing and see these dogs. So she gets the bright idea that Lady should be registered with the American Kennel Club. And she notices, just like racehorses, that all of these dogs have fancy names. So we're getting the Montgomery Ward catalog delivered to the house. It's about 9 inches thick. It's before the internet, and it's now Sears. And it has thousands of things in it: backyard pools, beach chairs, umbrellas, clothing, shoes, you name it. It also has silverware and flatware patterns. So my mother flips through the book, looking at plates and cups and saucers, and looking at knives and forks, and picks out 2 names. So now Lady is not just Lady. It's Lady Starlight Montclair. We send that in. We get back in the mail the American Kennel Club registered, you've got a real AKC puppy dog named Lady. So time goes on. Meanwhile, if we can't when we go out see a relative or something, we come back, we couldn't take Lady, because Lady would literally, like a human being, jump up, put her front paws around your head, lick your face off, and jump down again. She'd go through your legs, knock you over, Lovable, great little dog. Just a ball of like whatever that is. You're just energy, craziness. We had to put her in the basement and shut the door when we had company. So because nobody was training her or walking her, we'd often come home from the beach or something, and my father would slide and fall on his ass on the linoleum where she had pissed the river from here to, out to Route 15. She left other surprises too. So he hit her with a calendar, and that nobody would ever think like when you need to walk the dog and all these other things. So then one day, my mother says, she's all excited. And that was bad news. And she says, Dennis, look at this. She shows me this letter. She says, we're going. I go, well, yeah, where are we going? We've been invited to the American Kennel Club boxer runoff at the dog show in New York City. I said, so what does this have to do? She says, well, you're going to handle Lady. You've watched the show. You put a jacket and tie on. I've got a closet full of these things because I'm going to Catholic high school. By this time, I'm a freshman. You just walk Lady in there like they do on, you see them when they run along. And I'm like, I'm looking at my mother like, what planet? There's no way that this is going to happen. And so she's a 3-year-old bitch, so that's the category. And they have all the breeds runoffs until they get the best of each breed. That's how it works. So we're in the Plymouth, me and my mother. My father, nobody knows where we're going except me, and I'm terrified. So we get in the car, we drive to Manhattan to the 23rd Street, Lexington Avenue Armory, where there's about 700 dogs. It smells like wet dog, and we've got Lady in there. I've got Lady, and you get this little box, and you get this little thing, and there's people next to us, and they're looking like they're saying, maybe they give us a scissor, which my mother glommed and put right in a pocketbook, to cut Lady's whiskers off and trim in her ear a little bit. So you had to like hold her face and get her like this. So like, and I'm still thinking like, what hole can I jump into? How can I kill my mother? And nobody would know. And they call 3-year-old boxers, bitches to the ring. I said, Dennis, go. So off I go. I got Lady, I got my jacket on. I get in there. I go in the ring. The judge is like, go ahead, circle. I know. I watched the show with my mother. And I go around, a lady stops and takes a hot piss right on the mat. Right on the mat of the whole thing, like this, And I'm thinking, great, this is good. This should happen. This should happen to us. This is such an embarrassing thing. We don't belong here. And then he goes, first place, second place, and he points right at me. I'm like, whoa, second place. Second place, I mean, for a guy who didn't want to be here or a dog that doesn't belong here and has no skills as how to walk. See, but the thing is, in that little, there were only 2 dogs. There was the other dog and me and Lady. Okay, there were 2 dogs. So who was he going to give it to? So we go home, and my mother goes over the moon, and now it's a big story. Now it's a complete tale. The cup's this big. The ribbon's the size of the tongue in your shoe. She puts that up on a little bookcase. So now we get company over the house occasionally, She would show our report cards to my aunt and uncles to embarrass my cousins and to look how good they're doing. It was always trying to be better. And she said, oh, by the way, how's your little mutt, Did you know, look at this, Lady, second place. Second place at the American Kennel Club, right there. Look at that. And I would always wait a couple of beats and say, Mom, you're going to tell them that there's only 2 dogs, right? And she goes, please, Dennis, don't spoil the story, and which is the story. So I was always happy that we could live with my mother and all of her schemes and all of that and go with that. But that Lady was not a champion dog whatsoever. But she just went back to being our crazy little loving dog, and it was better. She was better in that person or that style than we could ever imagine. And we loved her right up until the end when she passed after having 8 puppies and lived to be about 17 years old. So there you go. It's a story of 2 ladies. Thank you.